Hi, welcome to the SONDORS MadMods assembly guide. I'm Josh, I'm a tech here at SONDORS, and I'll be helping you assemble your Scrambler today. Once you got your MadMods out of the box and unpackaged, you'll have everything you see here. We got the frame with the rear wheel attached already. We got your fork, your handlebar, we got the LED headlight for the front, LCD screen, pedals, we got your battery, your charger, and the toolkit you need to assemble this. Before we get started with the assembly, we're going to want to make sure you put your battery to charge, that way when we're done with the assembly, you got a full charge and ready to ride. Alright, so first step, we want to put on the fork on the front of the bike. To do that, you'll take your 5mm hex key. We're going to want to take off the top cap here. Go ahead and loosen that. Remove the cap and just set that aside. Alright, once you got your top cap removed, we're going to remove the dummy fork. With the help of a friend, they can help you lift up the frame. If you don't have a friend nearby, you can lean the bike on its side and we can put the fork on that way. Let's go ahead and slide that out. And grab your fork. You're going to loosen the bolts on the side. Going to pull the crown off. Once you got the crown off, you're going to remove the first spacer. Once you got the spacer out, go ahead and slide your fork into the frame. Once you got the fork in the frame, go ahead and slide the first spacer on. Get your second spacer on. Reinstall the crown. Once you got your crown on, you can reinstall the top cap. Go ahead and snug down the top cap with the 5mm hex key. And you're set. Alright, once we have the fork mounted onto the frame, we want to take your 6mm hex key, tighten in the 4 bolts on each side here. We got 2 on each side, and we got 1 in the middle here. Alright, next up, we'll install the handlebar. To do that, we're going to take our 5mm hex key, we're going to loosen the 4 bolts on these clamps, and put them aside for now. Got your clamps on. You can adjust your bar where you need it. Once you find your best position, go ahead and tighten down the bolts. Alright, so for the next step, we'll install the front wheel onto the fork. With the help of a friend, they can lift it up for you. We have to remove the front axle. Remove the front axle, you want to just twist it to the left, pull the axle out, set that aside, grab your front wheel, slide it on. Make sure the rotor goes right in between the brake pads on the brake caliper. Line up the holes on the fork with the axle. Once you got those holes lined up, go ahead and put your axle through. Put the nut on the right side. Once you got the nut tight on the right side, grab your 8mm hex key and tighten down the axle. Once you got that axle tight, grab your 4mm hex key and tighten down the bolts to the front of the fork. Alright, once we got our front wheel on, next step is we'll throw our pedals on. Pedals are labeled green for left, red for right. You have an L and R on them. We'll start by putting on the right pedal. Then the left pedal. The left pedal is a reverse thread, so you want to turn left counterclockwise. Alright, once you got those on there, you want to use your 15mm open-ended wrench, tighten those down. Alright, so next step, we'll throw on the LED headlight on the front of the bike. To do that, we're going to want to connect it first. You're going to grab your connector. The 2 connectors will have a small arrow on them. You're going to want to line up the arrows. Once they're lined up, you can push the connectors together firmly. Once you got that connected, you can go ahead and put the leg down, grab the sleeve, grab the bolt, and just thread it on to the sleeve. You don't have to do it all the way, just enough to get it on there. Once you got that together, grab your headlight, place it into the mount, and slide the hardware through. Once you got that on there, place the second bolt on the opposite side. Go ahead and grab your 2 5mm hex keys, tighten on the bolts from each side. Alright, next step, we're going to want to put the LCD screen onto the bike. To do that, we're going to grab our rubber grommets. We're going to put those on the top bar of the handlebar. Grab our LCD screen, let the control just hang on the side for now. Go over the bar, line up the rubber spacers, close the clamp. Once you got the clamp closed, go ahead and grab your hardware, place it on the back. Once you got the bolts on the back of the LCD, grab your 2mm hex key and tighten those down. You're going to want to install the buttons. To do that, you're going to want to take the bolts off from the back of the control. Place the buttons onto the handlebar and reinstall the bolt. Alright, now we got our LCD on, our buttons on. Next step is we're going to want to connect the LCD to the harness. To do that, we're gonna have to first remove the black rubber caps on the back of the LCD. Once you got those off, we're gonna wanna connect the harness to the LCD. I'm gonna remove the end cap off of the main harness. The connector's gonna have the arrow on it. You're gonna wanna have that arrow on the top side lined up with the arrow on the LCD, and that's gonna go connected on the port on the right side of the LCD. And push in firmly, making sure that goes all the way in. So next thing, we're gonna wanna mount the USB mount to the LCD. The mount can go on the top of the handlebar, in the middle of the handlebar, it's up to you. You're gonna want to put it over the handlebar. Once it's on there, you're gonna wanna grab your hardware, put it in through the top, and grab your 2mm hex key and fasten it. Alright, once you got the mount on the handlebar, you're gonna grab a USB cable, guide the cable through, put the USB in place, and on the connector, we're gonna wanna find the arrow again. It's gonna connect to the top port on the left side of the LCD. Last step is you're going to want to put your battery on. To do that, we're going to grab your keys. The keys for the battery are going to be mounted to the handlebar. Put them into the keyhole. Rotate them to the left to unlock the compartment. And grab your battery. The battery's going to have the on switch on the front. You're going to have the port on the back. Got a notch on the end here. You're going to want to get this notch and aim it towards the back of the bike. Rest it there. You want to press the latch to the left. Battery up. Lock it in place. Then you just want to lock your battery in, twist the key to the right to lock it in, take your key out and you're all set. Now we're just about done with the assembly of your MadMods. Next step, just to power on the bike and make sure everything's working alright. We're going to open up this compartment here, turn on the battery, flip the switch, close that up. Let's turn on the LCD. You're going to hold the info button for about 3 seconds. LCD will come on. You can use the plus and minus buttons to navigate through your pedal assist levels. Before you go on your first ride, just double check. Make sure everything's tight, axle's tight, all the bolts from your fork are good to go. Everything on the cockpit, pedals are tight. Make sure to get some air in your tires and you're all set for your first ride.